This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Check out our contest page to see how you can enter to win a pair of tickets to see early 2000s icon Simple Plan when they take over the Armory on August 19th. Don't miss out on your chance to see hits like I'm Just a Kid, Perfect, and Welcome to My Life. Enter now at KFAN.com. Keyword contests.
Max, what are you doing tonight, 7 to 9?
I will be at the Rabbit Hole in Minneapolis. I'm closing out the all-day watch party from 7 to 9. You can stop by, play some trivia, maybe win a gift card or two, or possibly a big old TV, baby. I'm going to throw my own name in there. Just kidding. I'm not actually going to do that, but I would if I could.
Yeah, that's the bit. A 10-hour KFAN tournament watch party at Rabbit Hole in Minneapolis. Corey Cove will be there 11 to 1. Saucy 1 to 3. Parker Fox 3 to 5. Zach Halverson 5 to 7. And young Maxwell 7 to 9. And you can register to win big screen TVs and other prizes. Rabbit Hole in Minneapolis, KFAN watch party. Alas, there's more. Let's see. While you're there, snag the limited edition Unreal hat for $100, which grants you unlimited happy hour pricing on food and drinks all day, every day throughout the tournament. Damn, that's a hell of a deal because Unreal does good work. So you pay $100 for the hat, and then you get unlimited happy hour pricing on food and drinks all day, every day throughout the tournament. Plus, get a $64 bar tab redeemable after April 7th. And skip the long lines at the door for life. Rabbit Hole's making plays. So head to Rabbit Hole in Minneapolis, beginning at 11 a.m. with the first set of NCAA tournament games. Corey Cove will be there 11 to 1. Sauce 1 to 3. Parker Fox 3 to 5. Zach Halverson 5 to 7. Maxwell Fuller 7 to 9.
That's the one to go to.
For sure. And
appreciate it, Russo.
Register to win big screen TVs and other prizes. 10-hour KFAN tournament watch party, Rabbit Hole in Minneapolis, and that's sweet. Now, with Russo Radio, the last story you wrote, and I know you don't write the headlines, but this one captured the theme of your tweeting during the game and then your gamer. I'm in Colorado with child who graduates in a month and a half, so I'm not watching the Wild game, but I'm following your tweets from afar during that Blues debacle. The last story Russo Radio wrote, the headline was, Wild look broken, tired and incapable of scoring, and help is not on the way. I'm like, other than that, Miss Lincoln, how was the play?
Well, the help was not on the way. It was meaning Eriksson and Kaprizov is not on the way.
But that Blues loss, it sent you pear-shaped, didn't it?
Well, I was also leaving the next day for the GM's meeting, so I figured I better, since I'm not going to be writing about this team for the next week, I better be, not just take off and do 3 takeaways.
Well, they went out there and won their next 2.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you got to wake them up.
Yeah, you motivator.
I loved. I was down in Florida with Bill Guerin, by the way, and I loved after they beat the LA Kings. I loved all the outside noise stuff. So apparently I was the outside noise. But look, I mean, that was as bad a game as we've ever seen. They've been really mediocre at home all season long. So you're right. It did sort of, the way they played that night. I'm just like, this is alarming. With the games coming up here, knowing as we just talked about how big this week is. But
I'm glad Boldy scored in the most recent game. I mean, honestly, have you been on in respectful fashion because no Kaprizov, no Eriksson? Hey, we need you to score. It's like the way people would look at it, like me. But I mean, the Boldy tracker that you had going, man, since the last time he scored and stuff, that was aggressive.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just numbers, it's facts, right?
I know.
I mean, when you're the $7 million man and you've in a 21 game stretch you hadn't scored in 19, then you had a little hot streak before, and then previous to that, in a 20 game stretch you didn't score in 18 games. That's not streaky. That's a player that's not delivering.
Yes.
And
that's a slump.
And exactly. And he's, last game he was good. He's been getting scoring chances. But to get back to the previous point on the 2 games that they won after I wrote that column, I give them a lot of credit. I mean, that's a very good LA team that's had their number. And the thing is, without the number of guys that they have out of their lineup now, and we'll see what's going on with Rossi today. I don't think the impressions I was getting yesterday, it wasn't as serious as they originally worried about. And so maybe he's even on the ice today because this guy is a warrior.
Yeah.
But they just have to work so hard, every single game to win these games. And to their credit, they've done that the last 2 games. There's just no room for error in their game right now because of the firepower that they don't have. So we'll see what's going on with Foligno at practice today. We'll see if Johansson's back from his illness, and we'll see what's going on with Rossi. Brodin could be coming back. So, that is necessary. But I give John Hines and the coaching staff and these players a lot of credit for how, this has been a long, unbelievable season in terms of injuries, and the big names are always out of the lineup. And just when you get one back, you lose 2 more, and it's just been nonstop since really, the month of November. And yet they still are in a position that they control themselves. And the tough games coming up. Nothing is for sure. But they, really impressed me these last 2 games against both Seattle and Los Angeles.
What buttons have you noticed Heinze pushes that seem to be keeping this team afloat?
Well, I think when it comes down to, he has really impressed upon them how they need to play and the process they need to play in on an every game basis to win those games.
Is he a yeller?
Not really.
Not really, right?
Yeah, if he is behind the scenes, I don't know that.
Which is good for this generation of kids.
The one thing that's frustrating for us as reporters is, that I absolutely respect, and I got to think the players love, is that he will never rip players individually. And if he does, if he even comes close to it, you must really know that he's in
the media?
Spot. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes, when a player's playing really poorly and he just talks glowingly about him, I don't even use it because you just know that it's just a bunch of malarkey. But he just will not go that way. And I respect that. And it's probably why the players,
Your nickname should be the Macabre.
Yeah.
You're Michael of the Macabre. Yeah. You're sitting back waiting for a trap door to fall so you can get a story.
Yeah. It's just, you just know sometimes that he just will not, and even that game against St. Louis, I asked about Rossi and Boldy, and he just sidestepped it and talked about something else, globally about the team. And that's why I think that he's, a really quality coach is that I don't think that he's not behind the scenes telling Boldy you're playing great every single night and Rossi you're playing great every single night, but he's not going to embarrass them in the press. And you got to respect that.
Michael Russo at Russo Hockey via Twitter covers the Wild and writes enterprising hockey stories and enterprising stories, period, for The Athletic and theathletic.com. Thanks to Russo Radio. Yours truly has been a subscriber of The Athletic pretty much since day one. I've said that before. No reason to push it. I don't even get a free subscription. I really enjoy The Athletic, and I think you will too. Lastly here, then I want to talk about something I found in The Athletic that I haven't brought up with you. The consistency of Bus, is he impressing you of late?
Yeah.
And do you think being with all those stars and like being part of the Four Nations, do you think that plays into his consistency now?
Yeah, I do. I don't know if it's exactly that, but I think that he has absolutely realized, especially with the no room for error, with the fact that this team has scored 24 goals in its last 12 games, that he's got to be on top of his game and can't give up bad goals and things like that. And he is playing really, really well right now. And it's the reason why they're riding him right now. And now he's coming after a shutout. Like I've always thought on this homestand that Fleury would start the game against Buffalo to give him one game before the back-to-back where he's going to start one of these against Dallas and Vegas. But, Gus is coming off a shutout, so I don't think that you want to mess with that when those 2 points on Saturday are so integral. So he's just been, playing a real quiet brand of hockey, too. He's not having to make the most unbelievable saves because he's always in good position. He is not letting up bad rebounds and all that type of stuff. And so he has been outstanding. And if you think about it, again, obviously Brodin and Eriksson got breaks that they never thought that they were, but Boldy, Faber, and Gustafson were the only 3 guys other than the 2 that I just mentioned that are hurt that didn't get a break didn't, the other guys got 12 days off essentially. Were able to go to the Turks and Mexico and Bahamas and everything like that. And these guys were in a meat grinder of an unbelievable tournament, for the Four Nations. So for Gus to come back after playing so well at the Four Nations, but then getting sick that one game and then not being able to play, I think it's just so impressive that he's come back here and really kept this team afloat.
Lastly, on the current nature of the situation, Liam Ogren, is he close? Like, how close is he to staying north for good?
The problem is that he is up on emergency conditions, and they got the one other recall if they got to change it. So I know he scored last game, but if Foligno, Johansson, and Rossi are in the lineup tomorrow, he is going down unless they turn that into a regular recall, which would be their fourth and final one. So I was really impressed with his last game. Not just that he scored the goal, but, especially watching on TNT because I was coming back from the GM's meetings and listening to Rick Bowness break his game down and how good he is away from the puck. That's what his MO is.
Rick Bowness, the studio guy?
Who the former Jets coach.
Yes.
I mean, he's coached.
He's fantastic on TV, by the way.
He has been behind a bench as a head coach or assistant coach more than any person in NHL history.
But he's good on, not everybody's good on TV and shares it simplistically for rubes like me to understand. This guy's fantastic.
Yeah, he's outstanding. And so, Ogren is really, it seemed to me, at least in the one game we saw, went down there with his head up maturely, got better and came up here and delivered his first game. And we'll see if he's able to play against Buffalo. Again, a lot of it will depend on the lineup because it's a juggling act right now. But he looks like he's going to be a player. And I'm not saying he's got a long-term future here. Like, I really genuinely believe this offseason that we're going to see Bill Guerin try to make some bold trades and, to add bold players, you're going to have to give up some prospects. And so I think Liam Ogren's probably one of those guys that they would consider moving. I think Marco Rossi is another one that I really believe that, they're going to consider moving this summer as well.
Well, so that, simplistically speaking, if I were to ask you to please make this simple for us, when the buyouts are off the books in 3.5 months, what will the Wild be able to do it currently can't?
Yeah.
Was this part of it?
Yeah, I mean, the one big thing is that there's not a lot of great free agents out there this summer. Like, there's not just a laundry list of stars. And obviously, you're not going after Marner when you're going to try to re-sign Kaprizov and have to give him 14 or 15 bills. So, that eats up a lot. The fact that they traded Kevin Fiala for Brock Faber, and Brock Faber turned into such an incredible player right away that they gave him $8.5 million. That's $8.5 million that they were going to have available next summer, that now they don't. So there's not just that's why I think he's going to get bold this summer. Like, I think if Brock Nelson doesn't re-sign in Colorado, I think the Wild are still very much going to go after him on a midterm type contract because I think they really genuinely believe that he can add in so many different areas, whether it's penalty kill, power play left or right wing, center, win big draws. You can play him up and down the lineup. They just have a lot of belief in his type of game. Obviously, we saw that by Bill Guerin and putting him on the Four Nations roster. And by the way, there was some talk earlier this week that they were not happy or that fans were waiting for him to make a big splash in Colorado. And ever since then, I think Nelson has 3 goals. So he's starting to play really good for Colorado. I think he had 2 last night against Ottawa.
He did. So they won 5-1.
Yeah. So, but I think the Wild really are eyeballing him. But then from there, like, do you go out and try to make a move? Like, JJ Peterka is the one guy that I really see the Wild going after hard this offseason. Like, I just, from talking to a lot of people around the game, I think that he would love to get out of there. He's a young center. But again, to get somebody like him, you are going to have to give up a lot of assets, and he's going to cost a lot of money. And if that's the case, as a Group 2 free agent, that then makes Rossi expendable.
Yes.
Year off is coming.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot. It's going to be really interesting. Like, this is just going to be one of those off seasons where you can't ever put your phone down.
Russo Radio.
The Athletics owners rankings, owners of NHL teams. Okay, so it's, I can't remember how the fans had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
But also accounts of experts or something like that was the way it was explained. So people like you, or maybe scouts, general managers, who knows? The Athletic has National Hockey League team owner rankings. Tampa Bay. So you mentioned earlier, Florida, like the 1A, like low key the state of hockey here because of these pro teams. Tampa Bay's Jeff Vinnick finished first. with a couple cup wins since 2010 when he became the majority owner. Number 2 was Panthers owner Vincent Viola. 1 cup win, majority owner for 12 years. Just explain it to me, like what makes the Florida team's owners fill the exacta?
I know that the cynics out there will right away say no state income taxes, but I covered those teams when they were both doormats, and nobody was talking about no state taxes then.
The Luongo days?
Yeah, so they have turned both those teams into destinations, and then, yes, they've taken advantage of the tax situation down there and gotten guys to play there for less money than they can get on the open market. But that's
do they
part
sell
of it.
out?
But they, both those teams sell out.
Do?
Florida less than Tampa, but Florida's also got one of the biggest buildings in the NHL. Conversely, Winnipeg's got one of the smallest buildings in the NHL, and they don't sell out.
Winnipeg doesn't sell out every game.
No, not
that's
even close.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, what makes them great owners? I mean, everything that goes also around the team, like the guys are treated impeccably. What Javinek's done around that arena at the Ice Palace or Amalie Arena down in Tampa is just ridiculous with the hotels and the restaurants. I mean,
he built them.
Oh yeah, he owns a lot of real estate down there. If I remember correctly, it's like with Bill Gates or somebody. I actually did a big sit down during the 22 Stanley Cup final with Javon and did a huge feature in The Athletic. I sat down with him at the Four Seasons in Denver. And what a great dude. And he's about to sell. He is selling his stake, so he's not going to be the majority owner for much longer down there.
Why?
I think probably he's cashing out.
Okay.
But he, what they've done, like I remember going there in the 90s around that arena at the Ice Palace, and there was nothing there. You couldn't even stay downtown, really.
Right.
You had to go stay at that,
it was in
West
St.
Shore.
Pete,
yeah, it was,
right?
Well, it started
over
in
that
St.
aggressive
Pete, then
bridge.
they built the Ice Palace, and it's been there. But really, the around the arena in Tampa, there was just nothing there.
Yeah.
Now there's just tons of stuff to do and restaurants.
So, like Ybor City wasn't super popular then.
Not really.
Wow.
No, and I remember I used to stay at the airport Marriott. Pretty much every time I'm there. Now
that place sucks.
And now, I mean, downtown Tampa is where you want to be. It's just awesome. So they've just really built that, and he's got a lot to do with it. From Florida, same thing. I mean, what Vinny Viola has mostly done is provided stability. The one bad thing about the Panthers back when I was there, but even well beyond me, is that they had a laundry list of owners, which then every time you change owners, then you're changing GMs and coaches. And, I used to write all the time that if they were as stable off the ice as they were on the ice, this team would win cups every single year. The players there, they had so much talent, but they could never just stick with a plan because we're always just changing things up. So those are the big reasons. Bill Foley has provided that in Vegas as well. From the second that they got a team, obviously very different rules than the Wild had when they were an expansion team. But, they have made it very clear, and they're cutthroat about it, winning is a priority to try to win a cup every single year there. So, but Craig Leopold, if I remember, got high marks in the story as well, right?
Follow me here. Yep. Utah's Ryan Smith.
Yeah, he's
already 8th.
Yeah.
I mean, my man's been around one season.
I know, but he is something. And Dollar Hot Dogs.
That's a sham.
Dollar Hot Dogs. He had announced yesterday that for the rest of the season, just pay $1 and you can watch all Utah games on their streaming service.
Wow.
Yeah, he does stuff like that.
It was written
and
fans.
He owns everything in Utah right now. He owns the Jazz.
Damn.
But he's huge into BYU. Like, I remember when we were there in December.
Okay.
One of the biggest recruits in the country. He was getting recruited from everywhere, from North Carolina to Kansas to all these teams, Kentucky. He signs with BYU.
Wow, basketball.
Yeah, why? Because, who's the biggest NIL contributor?
Yeah. And BYU,
Smith,
by the way, I mean, I haven't watched BYU play basketball ever. I watched him yesterday against Virginia Commonwealth. BYU's going to not only win tomorrow, it's going to win multiple games here.
Ivan was watching games yesterday. I watched Utah State play, and I'll tell you, early in that game, it looked like UCLA was in trouble.
Yeah,
and then they just pulled away.
Well, the fans, there was the fans generally with the Utah guy love his personal approach and enthusiasm that played into him checking in 8th. Ottawa's Michael Andlauer is 9th.
Yeah, they're probably just excited that.
Well, this is stupid.
I know. Nobody cares. That's more like.
Bro, nobody cares about the Senators.
Yeah, it was like Eugene Melnick was, God rest his soul, but it was like the worst owner in NHL. Yeah. And he's no longer with us. Michael buys it, and now now all of a sudden it's just because it's something different. He's great.
Well, I don't understand how the Ottawa owner checks in ninth when nobody cares about his team and they're never good.
Right.
I mean, it's just crazy. He's
They're pretty good this year. They're going to make the playoffs this year. But you're right. I mean, I get it. It's completely subjective, obviously.
Yep. All right,
Craig's on there. 11th.
Craig Leopold, 11th.
Yeah.
He got a B+. Willingness to spend was ranked 6th. Organizational stability, 15th. Organizational stability ranked 15th. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're a pretty stable franchise.
I know. Minnesotans flooded this survey. It was written with by far.
I saw that. More
by
people,
far the most responses from the state of hockey.
Again, shows you how many people in Minnesota are subscribed to The Athletic.
Yeah, true. One fan wrote, "Love his commitment to the fans, but we never truly have been a cup contender since he purchased the team."
That's true.
That thing was pretty cool because I didn't see it when it came out.
I think that even Craig, I mean, heck, Bill Guerin said that in Joe Smith in my story earlier this season that they haven't been a true contender, at least in his 6 years, and they haven't been in Craig Leopold. Part of it was probably, they brought in Parisi and Suter, and then all of a sudden just a lot of things happened to the business of hockey. They got the cap recapture stuff, then the pandemic. They never were able to go out and surround. And a lot of that might be Chuck Fletcher's fault, surround Parisi and Suter with the core, because they thought so much that guys like Coyle and Zucker and Niederreiter and Granlund and these guys were going to be able to lift this team to the promised land, and they just never became those stars. And so, and then, Billy comes here, and 2 years in, they buy out Parisi and Suter, and it handcuffed them obviously for 4 years. So, which is why everybody's so excited for, finally the shackles to come off this offseason. And Billy now to, deliver a true contender. But from an owner standpoint, Craig Leopold has absolutely spent the money. And that's his job. His job is not to sit there and make roster decisions. His job is to provide the GM with a stable, organization, but also, unbridled, cap space. And the Wild have had absolutely that. And so to me, from an ownership standpoint, Craig, since he bought the team in 2008, he's done a tremendous job. Now it's up to the people that he hires to, make the right decisions.
Lastly, you're a hockey snob. How much time will you spend at the NCHC at the XL Energy Center?
Yeah, I'm going today to watch Zev Boyum. I probably will dip out early for the North Dakota game.
It's Zev, not Zev?
I think it's Zev.
Zev Boyum.
Yep. And I'll hopefully get to watch Zev tomorrow if they beat Arizona State today. Sorry if you have a family on Arizona State and you don't like what I just said there. But obviously just because Zev's in town, I want to watch him a couple games. Haven't gotten to really watch him in person that much other than last year at the NCHC where I thought he was awesome, and Rieger Lorentz as well, another wild prospect on DU. We're going to see a lot of Zevs soon, when they are done whether it's hopefully with a national championship, but if not, when their tournament is over, the Wild will sign him soon after, and we will see him at some point, probably in the lineup this year. Whether or not that's the playoffs, I don't know. But I've got to think as long as the Wild's playoff spot is locked, that we're going to see Zev get some games this year.
Does that happen more frequently with blue liners than other skill guys?
Yeah.
Because like Faber, Makar, Boyum.
Yeah. Those are special players. Okay. I don't know if it happens. I can't tell you factually that it only happens with defensemen. Right. But those are three elite players that you've mentioned, and the Wild have been planning for a year to since they drafted him last year, and he fell right into their lap there at in Vegas. They've been planning on signing him right after his sophomore year. And, it's funny because usually the way it works is teams don't want to, tip that hand because guys in college, you don't want to put that in their head and things like that. This one is it's so beyond obvious and transparent that the Wild are, even with their trade deadline moves, are planning to bring Zev in here right away. So I'm excited to watch him. We'll see him maybe get some power play time here when he gets into the lineup later this year. And then that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to play in the playoffs like Faber, because Faber was special the way he played. The Wild, remember when they signed him out of the Gophers, and he played those 2 games. They were not expecting him to play in the playoffs, but he was so good in those 2 games. He played the 6 games in the playoffs, and he didn't give up. By the way, he wasn't on the ice for a goal against. Right. In this situation with Zev, very different though, because if they're healthy on the blue line, obviously you got Middleton and Faber, you got Brodin and Spurgeon, and then again, I just don't see that Zeb Boyum's going to just be in the lineup in the playoffs over a Johnny Merrill and Zach Bogosian.
Right.
Like, just from a grit standpoint and what you need in those situations, penalty killing. But I think just being around this group will be huge going into what will be a big offseason for him. And then we'll see in training camp if he can make the team. It's not guaranteed that he is going to not get some time in Iowa last year. What Faber did was very unique. And we'll see if Zev can do the same thing.
Thanks for coming by. Great seeing you.
Absolutely.
Okay? I'll see you somehow next week. All right.
And pay attention in a half hour. I'll let everybody know on X if Marco Rossi's in practice.
And Brodeen.
Yep. And Brodeen. Brodeen's been in practice.
Yep.
But Marco's the one that we're really watching today.
And X would be at Russo Hockey, where we all follow him. That's Michael Russo. Second half of the radio show's around the corner. You're listening to KFAN.
Go.
Listen up, basketball fans. Head to the Rabbit Hole in Minneapolis, your ultimate tournament headquarters for an all-day KFAN tournament watch party today with 45-plus big screens. You won't miss a single moment of the action. Come hang with the Power Trips Corey Cove from 11 to 1 p.m. We got Meat Sauce in the house, Parker Fox, Zach Halverson, and myself as well throughout the day. And you can enter for your shot to win awesome prizes, including a TV every 2 hours. Get all the details right now at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Football feast.
So many new members of the Minnesota Vikings, their press conferences are taking place virtually this year. Ryan Kelly and some others did them yesterday. Vikings.com if you'd like to watch them back and get to know more about these people as yours truly does. But Javon Hargrave is going to be an incredibly key player for the Minnesota Vikings this year. He recently had his press conference. Let's get to know Javon Hargrave and begin with exactly why he picked us.
I think playing them in the last couple of years, just seeing how good the team was, how good the defense was. I think like the first last year when I played in San Fran, that was one of the craziest games I've seen, like how the defense came and played and, they sacking, catching picks and just causing havoc the whole game. So I think that just kind of influenced my decision.
Matthew, then Kevin.
To clarify, Javon is how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's how you pronounce it.
Okay, I've heard a million people say your name, Javon. So welcome to Minnesota, Javon. I'm curious about just Jonathan Allen also signing here, your familiarity with him. How much familiarity do you have with also Harrison Phillips, Jonathan Grenard? Like, what have you seen from this defensive line that makes you excited about joining the Vikings?
I think I met Jonathan like a couple years ago at the Pro Bowl. We actually exchanged numbers at the Pro Bowl, I think in 2021. So I kind of knew him then, but I think with all them guys, they've been in the league for a little while, and I just respect their games. They all do a little something different, but I just know they all talented players and all great players, and I feel like to be my best to come out, I need to be around a lot of great players and a lot of good players too.
Hey, how are you from a health perspective? I know that the triceps last year and the surgery and all that. Where are you at with that? And are you going to be able to do most everything in the off season, or how will you approach that?
I think I'm in a good spot right now. I ain't about to go out there and punch and play football yet, but I came a long way, and I'm in a great spot right now with my tricep.
Welcome to Minnesota. I wanted to ask you about one of your former teammates becoming a teammate again. So what makes Jordan Mason hard for defenders to bring down?
And he's just a hard tackle. He really know how to bring his pads. We learned in camp, even when Christian went down last year, like when Jordan filled in for Christian, we knew it wasn't going to be no drop off because Jordan a pretty good back, real good back. And like I said, if you don't like the tackle, if you don't like that physicality, you're going to be in for a long day.
Hey, Javon, when you look at some of the moves the Vikings have made in free agency, just what excites you about that in the direction the franchise seems to be headed in?
I just, definitely beefing up the offensive line and defensive line. I think everywhere I went, everybody emphasizes on the trenches. So you just see them making a real emphasis of just getting the trenches, getting deep in the trenches. So that just kind of got me excited of being here because, like I said, in Philly, Pittsburgh, San Fran, they all believe in the same thing, and that's one of the things they believe in too.
So what's your sense of what it's going to be like to be a defensive tackle in a Brian Flores defense? You know, his schemes are usually a little different than what some of the other teams use, but obviously there's a big need for players of your skills and position. What's your sense of what it's going to look like for you?
Excited. I just know it brings a lot of success on defense. I'm just excited to get in and, like you say, I think he created a lot of one-on-ones for the inside and the outside guys by, blitzing and just switching things up. I think he just got so much things he do that helps everybody out on the defense. So I'm just excited to see and learn the defense and try to fit into the defense.
Hey, Javon, I was going to ask about Coach Flo as well, but I think you kind of covered it there with Kevin's question. I'll ask you about your nickname, though. I know, obviously, Gravedigger has that connection to your last name, but what were your thoughts when your college coach gave that to you, and how has it stuck?
I really didn't think nothing of it then. I did think it was a cool nickname when he made it. That's why I made it my Instagram handle. Basically, I made my Instagram handle when Instagram first came out. When my college D coordinator gave me the nickname, but it just kind of stuck with me. Everybody in college started calling me that. And then basically when I got to the NFL, it kind of just took off. So I just love it.
Javon, I'm curious about throughout your time in the NFL, just how your position has maybe developed. Maybe when you came out, you would have been considered an undersized defensive tackle, but now since Aaron Donald, everybody wants undersized defensive tackles who gets into the backfield. I just wonder how that's grown and changed during your time in the NFL, the defensive tackle position.
Yeah, I think, like you said, when I was coming out, everybody was talking about, the big, tall guys. But now it's just more so you see more people like me, more people like AD, the shorter guys. I think everybody kind of want to get somebody like Aaron Donald in the NFL. So I think it really don't matter no more. They just kind of look at the football player more than just looking at the size of the football player.
Javon, Matthew kind of stole my question, but how, sort of piggybacking off that, how would you sort of compare the emphasis and expectation of pass rushing from the inside now in the league and to when you first entered the league and back in college?
I think it's definitely big now. Of course, you can tell the money done jumped up for the defensive tackles who can pass rush. But it's definitely emphasis. I think they are the quickest to get to the quarterback and can disrupt the quarterback. So if you got a defensive tackle who can pass rush and cause havoc, is just, it's a good thing for the defense.
Javon, obviously joining Brian Flores in a strong defense was a key, but was there anything in the conversations that made you say, yes, this is the team I want to be with?
You could tell they just want to win. And like you said, it's just a lot of talent. It's a lot of talent on offense and defense and special teams. Like I said, I played them the last 2 years and lost both times, and feel like I was on great teams. So you just know it's a great team, and they got a reputation in the league of how they run their organization, and that was kind of a big thing for me too. Just seeing everything, seeing the reports of how good they take care of their players. I think that's a big thing in the NFL.
Javon, we're going to get to know you, I'm sure, over the coming months, but I'm just curious about what you'd like Minnesotans to know about your personality. What do you do? What do you like? Do you have, off-field things that are of interest to you coming here to Minnesota?
Nah, I'm chill. I'm chill, laid back. But everybody keep telling me about the fishing here, and that's something I want to kind of get into. Country boy. growing up in a small town, all my dad, my grandpa, all of them fish. So that's something I kind of want to get into. So that's the big thing I want to do here.
Javon, just one more for me. You mentioned like playing against the Vikings a couple times and being impressed by the team. I'm just wondering your thoughts on US Bank Stadium, kind of the atmosphere there, and what you're looking forward to about, being on the home side of that.
I'm just ready to hear the drum getting beat and hear the score chant. And I'm real excited to hear that horn being blown before the game. I think that was one of the hardest things I've seen in the NFL, especially pregame. So it's going to be kind of dope to be on the other side of it and being able to hear it every week at home.
Javon, what would you say is the number one trait that you and Jonathan Allen have as defensive tackles that can impact the quarterback, unlike a lot of other defensive tackles?
I think we got experience by playing so long, but I think we both disruptive. I know from Jonathan Allen, just watching him when I was in Philly, seeing him twice a year, he calls Hovac in the field and make a lot of plays, and he know when to take his chances and when to make them plays.
New Vikings defensive tackle Javon Hargrave. His nickname is the Grave Digger, and I'm Paul Bearer Allen. It's 10:44, and we're back after this. When Mad Producer is on the scene, this is News du Nord, provided by Canterbury Park and CanterburyPark.com. Check out the website. By the way, Canterbury is hiring now for a bevy of jobs. So if you're looking for a job, either now or during the spring and summer, when live racing takes place starting in middle-ish May, go to CanterburyPark.com and check out what kind of jobs are open. But for the purpose of young Maxwell filling in for Nordo today, we call this Maxx's Musings. It's 10:51. Kevin Lynch from FanDuel, a basketball analyst, joins about 15 minutes from now. Go on with it, Maxwell.
We're starting down at the Target Center, PA. The Timberwolves will be back in action tonight as they host the Pelicans for the second straight game. After winning 8 in a row, the Wolves have now dropped their last 2 games and fallen to the number 8 seed in the Western Conference. Since the Warriors won yesterday, the Wolves currently sit a game and a half behind that coveted 6th seed out of the play-in action.
The Indiana loss had some ridiculous to its nature. When the Pacers came in without 4 starters, then Andrew Nembhard gets tossed in the first half, squabbling with Stiefel, who also was tossed. So Indiana was down, technically, all 5 of its starters, and found a way to beat the Timberwolves in like an Obi Toppin fan fest, breaking loose in overtime. He goes 4 of 4 shooting in overtime. All right, so we put that one to bed. Finchy joins 9 to noon the next morning. Talks extensively about rebounding, the importance of boxing out, the importance of the physicality and the tenacity, and sometimes the pain that is absorbed when you're trying to rebound. I mean, it's not the most fun venture in the history of basketball. So, what did the next game look like against Zion Williamson, C.J. McCollum, and the New Orleans Pelicans, who they play this evening? I don't have it in front of me, but I laid it out yesterday. The thing that frustrated me in that game, the energy the Pelicans displayed quite frequently was twice the amount the Timberwolves had. And secondly, with rebounding, their guards, guards who generally play away from the basket, bigs generally play relatively close to the basket. And for the Pelicans, luminaries like Jose Alvarado, Jordan Hawkins, C.J. McCollum, and Bruce Brown had 22 rebounds. Our bigs, the key bigs, Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels, and Naz Reid had 19 combined. So we got out-rebounded by a band of guards. That obviously can't happen this evening. Big night for the Hal, Kevin Lynch, around the corner after the Musings.
Going over from the pros to the college game, March Madness continues today with some marquee matchups, including number 1 ranked Duke in action against St. Mary's. And the 8th seed and defending champion UConn taking on Oklahoma, and more. Obviously, there's plenty of madness to be had. Some highlights from day one: McNeese State upsetting Clemson and Drake beating Missouri.
If I were spotting up, but we're not in the spot up state, I like Memphis quite a bit today against Colorado State. Colorado State has been quite steamy at the wickets of late, but I'm a Memphis guy to win at least a couple of games. And secondly, I'm curious to see how 3rd seed Kentucky handles Troy as a 12-point favorite, because Kentucky's been known in these first games. Now, this was with Calipari. Now it's Mark Pope. Kentucky lost to St. Peter a couple of years ago and has had some troubles early in the tournament as a ballyhooed blue blood. Those are a couple on which I'll be casting my gaze.
Also, just to go back to the NBA just for 1 second, something for Wolves fans to keep an eye on is Steph Curry left yesterday's game. The Warriors beat the Toronto Raptors 117-114. Steph Curry left the game early, though, with what they're calling a pelvic contusion.
Oh, geez.
And Steve Kerr says there will be an MRI taking place. So it doesn't sound like something that's going to keep him out forever, but obviously for the foreseeable future, that is a huge, huge thing for the Warriors.
I don't have the schedule in front of me. Clip joint plays tonight, right? Clippers play tonight.
Yep.
Who do they play?
Let me see
Any
here.
idea? Well, and the reason I bring it up is that diseased play-in, man. They got the Grizz.
Yeah,
Grizz are playing. Grizz are playing good right now. Desmond Bane's on a heater. But so we're a game and a half behind Steph and his pelvic situation, and we're tied with the Clippers, 4 clear of Sacramento in that play-in. So we're in the 8th spot. I mean, just the play-in sucks, man. You don't want to go from the Western Conference Finals, trade a super identifiable player in Karl Anthony Towns, and then end up in the play-in and somehow get bounced. So, like, if we're in the play-in and we have to go to SoFi or Crypto or wherever the Clippers play these days,
Intuit,
that place is supposed to be the bomb,
it's
right?
Supposed to be insane,
right?
Yeah.
So you lose to the Clippers. Then you play the winner of the 9-10, which would be Sacramento or Phoenix as of now. Dallas, amazingly, right on the heels of Phoenix for that final play-in spot. Portland's starting to get a little sneaky, too. They've won 3 consecutive. Your guy, Denny Avija, along with Anthony Simons, Shadon Sharp, and Donovan Clingan, the UConn rookie. I mean, they're starting to ball right now a little bit. So they're trying to get into that play-in. They care about the play-in. We don't care about the play-in. Because if you lose to the Clippers and then you lose to the winner of Sacramento and Phoenix, it's over. I mean, the whole thing's over. Let's just avoid that situation, all right?
Also, another news coming down the pipeline here. Zion Williams out for the Pelicans tonight, so makes this game that much more winnable and that much bigger. Because the Pacers had their whole damn squad out the other night, and that didn't really make a difference.
Well, but it's we know these guys, because we pay attention to it. But like, not James Earl Jones, James Robinson Earl, and something called Eves Missy. I mean, just crashing the boards with the greatest of ease. So, man, no Zion Williamson tonight. The Wolves should win.
Yeah,
the Wolves have to win this game tonight.
Sticking with the NBA, yesterday news broke that a group led by businessman Bill Chisholm purchased the Boston Celtics for over $6 billion. The price would surpass the sale of the Commanders, the Washington Commanders, that is, for most paid for a North American sports franchise, and easily surpasses the NBA record, which was set 2 years ago when the Ishbia brothers purchased the Suns for $4 billion. The Ishbia brothers also much rumored to be interested in buying the Minnesota Twins as well.
But I think that's dead, because I think one of them's like a minority owner of the White Sox or something like that. I'm like, well, how's that not unveiled? Like right when the name started to pop. All right, 3-2. You frequently hear about how National Football League owners profit from the TV deal or deals that they get. I got to believe NBA owners might be crushing a little bit with these TV deals.
Yeah.
If you're buying franchises for $6 billion, sees basketball immortality sell out all the time with Tatum, Brown, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis. I don't know. I would imagine those guys make a lot of money. So therefore, I don't know if you can keep them together forever. That's a bigger number for an NBA team than I thought possible, quite honestly.
Yeah, huge numbers for the purchase of the Boston Celtics. Moving over to the baseball diamond, Twins infielder Brooks Lee was a late scratch from his scheduled start at third base on Thursday evening due to what the club is calling lower back tightness. He's now considered day-to-day. Lee would likely be filling in for the injured Royce Lewis at third base. The Minnesota Twins open up their season on Thursday against the St. Louis Cardinals.
MLB season openers for most of the teams. I believe we have the Dodgers and Cubs playing in Japan right now. But go Twins, and it's too bad about Brooks. Obviously, we don't know the severity or lack thereof, but off the heels of the Royce news, that's nothing but negativity right there.
The Minnesota Wild will be back in action tomorrow when they host the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo has not been great as of late. They are 3-6-1 in their last 10, as you discussed with Michael Russo. The Minnesota Wild currently battling for playoff positioning. Looks like they're pretty firmly in the playoffs. Just depends on what the seeding is going to be. So every game counts coming down the stretch right here.
And I haven't looked at the X machine of late, but Russo Hockey, who was with us for the majority of the 9 and 10, said check his Twitter at Russo Hockey around 11 o'clock to see if Marco Rossi is on the ice. He took some friendly fire from Boldy in the most recent win against Softies Kraken, but it doesn't seem to be that bad. So I would guess Rossi probably would be out there. Jonas Brodin is expected to practice per usual. John Hines told 9 to noon yesterday he could anything but guarantee Jonas would play in the matinee Saturday against Buffalo. Last place team in the Atlantic, a team with 60 points. Yet it's hockey, man. It's hockey. Puck luck, momentum, things like that. To wit, Buffalo recently has beaten the Las Vegas Golden Knights in Edmonton. So you can't, when you're down 97-14 and/or 25, Foligno, by the way, is not playing. Johansson should return tomorrow or soon. But when you're down that clump of players, ain't nobody sleeping on anybody, including these Buffalo Sabres.
Sticking with the National Hockey League, it'll make Kevin Fallness happy that we're talking so much hockey today on 9 to noon. Alex Ovechkin scored his 888th goal last night in a 3-2 victory by the Capitals over the Philadelphia Flyers. He is just that much closer to surpassing Gretzky's mark of 894. That once seemed like nobody was ever going to beat it. I believe, though, Gretzky is it's nowhere near. No one's ever going to pass his points total because of the assists. I believe the statement is if you took away all of his goals scored, he would still have the most points in NHL history, which is just absolutely insane. But still, regardless, Ovi approaching a historic landmark in the NHL and possibly passing Wayne Gretzky.
Say that again. If you take away what?
If you took away all of Wayne Gretzky's goals and just had his assists, he would still have the highest amount of points in NHL history.
Damn.
I believe that's true.
Damn. Yeah, I had Bill Guerin joined 9 to noon a couple of weeks ago, and, I knew what the answer was going to be, but I just wanted to hear Bill explain it. And so I went down the road of that comparison, that others have made about, hey, is Ovechkin on par with Wayne, or is Wayne absolutely the best in the history of the game? And I knew when I was unfurling it, it was a dumb question. Bill's response basically was,
"What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard."
That's harsh, Bill.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
We are in search of Kevin Lynch. Hopefully he's here soon so we can chat about the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's a basketball analyst for FanDuel, and the Wolves hook a Zion-less New Orleans Pelican squad tonight. We'll move into that and the final hour of the Friday Football Feast when we continue on KFAN.